Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Drinks at Dana's. This week we have a very special guest with us, and that is the director of photography for the Generation Q Season 2, Sandra Valde-Hansen. Hi Sandra, how are you doing?
Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. Hi.
We're very excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for joining us. And we're adding another time zone this week with Sandra being in LA. So Chris and Jess are, of course, here with me as well. And we are going to pepper Sandra with some questions and talk in general about season 2. So Sandra, why don't we start out by asking you how you got your job on the L Word, and were you a fan before? When did you first hear about the show? Your kind of L Word story.
My
origin story.
My L Word, like L Word, original L Word, or Generation
both.
Q?
Oh yeah, both would be good.
I guess I'll start how I got into Generation Q. So actually, it was interesting. I keep telling her this, but so I'm one of the DPs on the L Word Generation Q, along with Moira Morel, who is amazing, and I tell her every time that she's the reason why I got this job. So basically, they were, the L Word was really looking for a lot of the people that, a lot of the key members of the crew. They really wanted to be women of color, queer women. It was really important to them, and it's really important to the show that there is a very diverse, not only cast but also crew. We want the crew to kind of look like the world. So they were really looking far and wide. And what's interesting is, so they came to me pretty late because I had an agent who I guess forgot to submit me. I don't know. This is my old agency. I'm not going to name any names, but I was the only woman on their roster. And for some reason I never got, but I had another friend, who is now my agent, who actually recommended me. And I interviewed with the pilot director, Steph Green. And then I met with Marja. And they started asking me, they were like, do you know Moira Morel? And I said, I do know Moira Morel. She's actually a former student of mine.
Oh, cool.
Way back when, because I also teach at the American Film Institute. And I think at that moment, they were like, great, we're going to hire her because we really love Moira. And we now have her teacher. So I, that's pretty much how I got involved in the L Word, and actually, and of course, when I went into the interview, I mean, the L Word has the original L Word I knew very well. Actually, I worked with some of the original cast members on a feature that sadly, I mean, is out in the world, but there's a lot of politics behind it. But it was called Girl Trash All Night Long.
Oh my God! Yes.
Yeah.
We have a whole thing with that.
I mean, there's a lot of politics behind that movie, but it's a great movie, and I loved working on it.
Yes.
And I wish it actually got out to the further world, like even more so.
Same. It was a good one.
It was. It is, and the music is so good.
Angela.
Yeah.
We love Angela.
Angela and Alex, I mean, again, I owe a lot to them. They were amazing. They were amazing to work with. And that is actually kind of where I got the introduction into the L Word, because I knew, then I started watching every episode, because when the L Word actually came out, I was in school. And so I didn't really have time to watch anything. But then as soon as I started working with Angela and Alex on Girl Trash, I knew all that was going on. I just didn't have time, but then I had time, and it was just so amazing. And so that when I got called in to do the Next Generation, I was a fan. I was like, oh my God, there they are.
Like, have you seen the show? And you're like, Yeah, no, a couple.
Now, I was like literally like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Like there's Kate, there's Jennifer,
That
there's
would be us.
Leisha. And, like, what do I say to them? Like, and they're like, Sandra, get it together. You're the director of photography. They're just people. and now I mean, there's still times where I'm like, oh my God, I'm working with these people. I'm working with
Flashdance lady.
Yeah, it's intimidating at first, I imagine.
I know. I mean, you start out as a fan and then you find yourself, oh, I'm working with these people in a key position. I have to light and put the camera in front of them, and they're all gorgeous and they're just so beautiful. And I mean, you put the camera in them and you're just like, oh, how do you guys how do you maintain this? What do you guys do to So anyway, so that's a little bit of my story, I guess.
Oh, that's so cool.
That is so cool.
Sometimes, like you see these people like being interviewed and they're just like, oh, it's any other job, and they're just this and that. But it's so nice when you find out that, especially that there was such thought behind the like not even just the casting, but like hiring of the crew and everything, and just to know that there's so many people that seem genuine fans, because obviously we really closely follow everything when it's filming, and to see like a lot of your crew and things, like they seem to be so just loving working on the show and stuff, and it really comes across even on social media, like when they're sharing pictures and things. Like it's really great for us when there was such a long break between season 1 and 2, and then we were getting like little snippets through like Instagram and stuff. It was really nice.
Well, I mean, it was interesting, just like this particular season, we had some new faces, in terms of in our department. So as a director of photography, both Moira and I manage the camera department, and the lighting department and the grip department. I mean, and we are like the head of the camera department, and then of course the lighting department has the gaffer as their lead, and then the key grip is their lead, but we oversee all of that. And so we had to change crew this season because of COVID. People weren't available, all of this type of stuff. And when we interviewed, like, the people that we hired, the first thing they said to us was, this show is so important to us. I mean, the original show changed our lives. It created a representation that it saw us, it saw me, and that was really important to us, right? That the people that we hire, that this show means something to them. And it doesn't necessarily, they didn't have to be queer. They didn't have, I mean, it just had, because it means something to them, right? They're not just there, like you said, to do a job, right?
Yeah.
The show is doing it, it's still making strides. And I know there's a lot of things going out there and a lot of press and all of this type of stuff, but it's still making strides. And Marja is still, making a mark, and it's still an important show that has to exist, because there's still not good shows out there. I mean, there is more, but this is like the pinnacle,
And even the stuff with like you said, when obviously, like, the three of us, we talk endlessly about the L Word, and we have a platform where a lot of people come to speak to us about the show and give their opinions. And there's people that send me messages every single week saying, like, there's one kid emailed me recently, and I mean kid, like, she's 16, 17, lives in Hungary, like, lives in foster care, and she hasn't even seen the show because she has no way to watch it, but like, she follows, like, YouTube and videos and things like that, and people are still like watching the show in secret, and like, it is still so important. And it's not even just queer people. Like, how rare is it on television to have shows about women where they're not just some extension of a male character in the sense of a wife, a sister, a girlfriend, and it, especially anyone of women over the age of 40, and to have them all on screen interacting. Like I have a lot of friends like from school who their mums who are happily married to men of 30 years, like they love the show because it's about women, for women, like made by women. So yeah, it's still such an important show, and obviously like you said, you know, people can have their opinions and thing, but my opinion is it's an amazing show, and I like it's done nothing but wonderful things for, I think I can speak on behalf of Jess and Chris too, for us.
Yeah,
so,
we're lucky to have it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, my mom is one of them. My mom is one of them that loves the show, that loves the characters, that like gets involved, like she shouts at the show, you know, like she's so invested in the show. But like what's also amazing is just in terms of the diversity. I mean, you know, just in terms of behind the scenes on set, like this season, one of our crew members, a male crew member, actually a male crew member in a department that is very male and very heterosexual. I mean, basically, you know, came out to the crew because he felt comfortable to do that. And he actually said, like, I've never had the opportunity to do that. But I feel like this is a family, and like we don't care who you are, we don't care how you see yourself, we see you as you, and you be you, you know, and that comes from the top, that comes from Marja. And then another thing that happened, which I think, you know, and it made me cry, like I guess during the time when the Asian women were attacked in Atlanta, you know, on that particular day, Marja, we stopped before we started the day and had a moment of silence, particularly for the Asian crew members that were on set. And of course, there's Leo, and Leo spoke, and it made me cry. I mean, she asked me if I would want to speak, and I was like, no, I can't. I don't, you know, I like to be behind the camera, you know, but it's like things like that, you know, the things that happen behind the scenes, I think people can feel that even in front of the camera. I think it's all really important. And that's the wonderful thing. It is a family. The L word, you know, it is a family. We're a family of many different kinds of people, kooky and crazy. And, you know, we work with each other many hours, long days. And, you know, we still want to hang out at the end of the day. So that says something.
Yeah, it's like that connection that you just have with the show, and people who are also fans, like Chris, Jess, and I, like we didn't know each other before, like pretty much season 2 filming, and just through the show, like we've had like a great friendship. And I actually read this story the other day that I'd never seen before about Jacqueline Tobani, and it was right when season 1 was coming out. I think this interview came out, and she was saying that when she was in high school, she wasn't out yet. I think she's about my age, like early 30s, and there was someone in her class that was out, and for her birthday they gave her a copy of the L Word DVD. And she said that when she got the job on the L Word, she sent her a note and like the poster and said like, this is all because of you. And you just like read things like that, and it's like, it's just, there's something so much deeper about this show than any other, because it is so tied in with like how you feel and your, like, you know, coming into your queerness. Like nearly everybody has that. And I watched the L Word, you know, and I knew, and it's just even going to, like when the original show came out, I lived in Florida, and we would go every week to watch the show, and silly things like that, that it really runs deep, the connection to the show, and the people that even, you know, outside of the people working on it, like the extension of people who are fans.
Yeah. And like it's every, most of the crew members, they all have that same story. Like there is some connection to the original L Word in some shape or form, and it isn't like just going to a job. It's going to something that, is making a difference. And I think as, filmmakers, I mean, that's one of the things, like I'm a, director of photography, so I can't do what Marja does. I can't come up with the stories. I don't do that. But I still am a filmmaker, and and one of the things that I just said is I want to work on things that say something. I want to work on things that are important, that make a difference. And so when I got the L Word, I was like, I mean, this is exactly what I've been looking for.
Yeah.
So it's really changed my life. Just working on this show has just absolutely changed my life.
Yeah, hopefully there's many more seasons to come. Yeah, we're strong in our belief. So go ahead, Jess.
Okay, I was gonna say, so for those of us who don't know, who have never worked on a film set, can you tell us a little bit more about your job? Like, um, at the beginning of the season, like, do you get the scripts and kind of like go over them with Marja, with the other DP? Is it more of like a, um, one-on-one with each episode director to, kind of get in more of an idea of like, I guess I'm asking like whose input in like comes into what all the scenes look like and how they're shot.
So, I mean, I'll talk basically from a season 2 perspective, because what's interesting, I don't know if people have noticed, but there has been a bit of change in terms of how season 1 looks versus season 2.
Right.
And that is actually something that, Moira and I really kind of felt that we wanted to do. If, we got asked it back for season 2, and like during the pandemic, we met with Marja, and Marja was like, she liked season 1, but she wanted season 2 to feel more visceral, to feel like we were more inside, like we were part of the scenes. And we felt that same way too. We were like, oh my God, that's exactly, she wanted it to feel more real. And so this season, obviously, so we switched over to handheld. Most of the things are handheld. We're kind of in everybody's faces. When Sophie is feeling that anxiety, we want to feel that anxiety. When Finley is intoxicated, we want to feel that. We want to feel, when Finley says, why are you scared of me? Like we want to feel that, right? And one of the greatest things that I still to this day, when I approach a scene, Marcia's like, make me feel something, Sandra. And I'll never, like, I've said it before and I will keep saying it. And it's always in my head. But so we had these conversations with Marja during the pandemic about how we were going to change things. And we created a lookbook. So we already had a base for the new look of season 2, And so then the scripts came. So how season 2 worked, just so everybody knows. So it's 10 episodes, obviously. Marja directed the first 3, and I shot the first 3. So we did it in a block. And then Sarah Pia Anderson directed 4 and 5, and Moira shot those in that block. And then 6 and 7 were done as its own. So I worked with Cachel Kindred in episode 6. Moira worked with Rose Trochet in episode 7. And then I did 8 and 9 with a Haifa El Mansour. And then Moira did 10 with Marja. So,
cool.
So, I mean, it was really great. I think it was a brilliant idea. Marja is not only a brilliant showrunner, but she's a brilliant director. I've learned so much from her, and she really pushes me to really think beyond what's on the page. And so having her direct the first 3 episodes really set the tone. So her and I, how we worked, we would, obviously we read the scripts. We would shot list all the scripts, all the scenes. So Marja is like me, like a planner. So we would shot list. So we would actually meet on the weekends and shot list. Or sometimes at the end of the day, we would go to, Dana's bar and talk about the poker scenes,
so
together.
Cool.
And, sometimes we would get the PAs to be stand-ins and I'd take pictures, we did that. But we would always go with a plan because, we were in COVID times, or we still are in COVID times, and we didn't want to kill the crew. We wanted to be able to shoot this because usually a working day is 12 hours. That's usually a shooting day, but you also have to keep in mind the crew comes in usually an hour earlier to prepare the equipment, and then they have to wrap the equipment at the end of the day. And so if you're shooting 12 hours, then they're working 14, right? And so Marja really wanted to try to shoot within 10 hours, and so that the working hours would be closer to 12, closer to 13, with lunch and things like that. And so that's why we had to have a plan. And so we went in those first 3 episodes knowing exactly what we wanted. And, of course we could pivot because, of course, particularly the OGs, they have their opinions about things. And usually they're always on point. And so sometimes we have to pivot our ideas because they want to do it this way. And that's the beauty of being able to, since we have a plan, we can pivot pretty quickly. And then, so Marja and I did those first 3. And then when I work with the other directors, I do the same thing. Like this is the beauty of why there's an alternating DP, because when I'm shooting, Moira is prepping with her director and going through the scripts. And then and then vice versa. And part of that process, when we're not working with Marja, we will have what's called a tone meeting, which is mainly for the director and the showrunner to kind of talk about the tone of the script. But I usually go to all those meetings because it allows me to get a sense of what Marja is thinking. When we did prom in episode 9, she was like, I want this to feel magical. I want this to feel, again, make me feel something, Sandra, and I learned that all in tone. I know the show, so I kind of understand, but it's always good to hear Marja say it. And it is my job as a cinematographer because, we get different directors either every episode or every block. And, and of course, directors have their own, aesthetic. And so it's my job to make sure that the aesthetic of the L word is kept to, and of course the director can put their stamp on it, but, we do have certain rules that we have to try to stick to in the L word. And so there are times where I may tell the director, no, we can't use that lens. We don't use that lens during this time. And, when we shoot the intimacy scenes, when we shoot the sex scenes, we must do a macro lens pass, which is, really close up, that is part of our visual language. And so that's what I do, as the DP.
That's interesting to hear because it was a noticeable, subtle but noticeable difference between season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear how that played out. Did the actors respond well to having the handheld cameras, or are some people kind of like a little resistant to that, like, oh, this is hi, you're right there?
So I think, for the most part, I think the actors really loved it because it allowed the actors to move through the space and they could go wherever they wanted.
So blocking is easier that way.
Yeah. It made it harder because I think it's, why am I drawing? I think it's episode 2. Episode 2, when, is it episode 2 or 3? Danny comes to Sophie's house to drop off the casserole dish, and Sophie's in the kitchen, and then they go outside and they have a fight, and then Sophie goes back inside and breaks down in front of her family. So that was literally shot in 2 setups. So we had one, like the camera started inside in the kitchen with Sophie. She's doing dishes or whatever. We see Danny. We follow her. We follow Sophie out, all the way out. They have the fight, and then we bring Sophie back in. And then we did the reverse of that, to get the other side of the conversation. And then the other camera was outside to get kind of like a 2 shots of them. But that was it. But they basically had to carry it throughout. It was like literally 3 scenes in one. And that was one of the things that Marja really wanted to do this season is have the characters just walk from one scene into the next. They wanted this movement because the original L Word is a lot about people sitting and talking, which we still have.
And then it's like, end scene. And then there's
right. And then they're sitting and talking again.
Another group sitting and talking. Yeah.
So they wanted that movement, so I think they really loved that because they were free. Now, in terms of lighting, it's a lot harder, to do that. And so we actually incorporated, lights on the cameras, ring lights, basically on the cameras, just to give them a little something in their eyes and in their faces. And, I had a new gaffer, a new lighting person this season, and he was fantastic. He just ran with it. Wherever it was like a game to him. You got to hide the lights because we're going to see everything. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, I think in one of the Instagram posts, I saw like one of those giant balloon lights, and it was a night shoot. I was like, wow, that was really cool.
Yeah. Our gaffer, Eric Segot, is brilliant. Just so brilliant because he's able. That was the other thing that Marja wanted to do this season is, she wanted the lighting to feel a little bit more natural than it was in the first season. She wanted to feel more motivated, and we did too. We actually did too. So, and having our new gaffer, Eric, like he really just set the bar to making it feel natural, but still very beautiful.
And I was just going to say, on the flip side of that, I've actually, I remember reading comments on Facebook, and I hadn't actually noticed as much the handheld cameras and stuff. It just felt more naturalistic to me. But I had people commenting saying, they felt really nauseous and stuff from it. And I was like, I'm usually the first person that throws up on a ride. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I didn't notice that. But interesting that other people were not liking it, or like they actually really disliked the handheld.
I really liked it. I thought that it just, and this kind of goes with the lighting too. Like the first season, I think it's because 1, the show hadn't been on in so long. 2, we were now shooting California for California, so I felt like it was like the first season was just so bright, like not like and then this season, like straight away, first episode, and again, like I know the 3 of us, we're watching with taking notes, watching the episode multiple times, like we're really like in it. And I so felt like this season, literally, that I was in it. Like the handheld, everything, like straight away, I noticed those things, and I love them. Like I think it was just, I don't know, just so much more alive. And like you said, like what Marja's saying, like, you want to feel something. I mean, not, I've spoken to Marja a little bit, and the questions and things that she asks you, you always feel as though she's trying to really get into what you're thinking and like what other people are feeling about the show. And I know she did an interview with Leisha and Kate too, and some, like when she questions, sometimes people are like, is she asking them the question because she doesn't know? And I'm like, no, she's asking the question because she wants to know what you're thinking and how you're interpreting the scene and the feelings and things. And I think that it's such a and interesting, but like shows you what type of a humble person she is, that she's generally, you know, like a director could come in and a showrunner and be so like standoffish and want things their way, that way. So it's so nice to hear that you know, it is such a group production, and that everybody's thoughts and feelings and stuff is valid.
Absolutely. And then Marja also has a really great way of, you know, because like we'll go in with a plan, you know, and sometimes the actors may come in and have a different plan, right? And the way she talks to them, by the time they finish talking, she will have convinced them to do our plan, but made it seem like it was their idea.
That's some skills right there.
Absolute skill. And I saw it happen a few times, and I'm like, because at times I was like, oh no, we can't do it that way. And then I'm like, oh, wait a second, it's Marja. She'll get us there. And like literally within 2 minutes, oh, they're like, yeah. So Marja, what do you think if we came over here instead? And Marja would be like, oh, that's a great idea, and she'd wink at me. But I mean that's just a brilliant director and a brilliant showrunner, because who doesn't necessarily go in and say, this is how you should do it, and you know, Sandra, you needed to do it this way. She is very collaborative. You know, and that's what filmmaking is. That's what being on a TV show. I am collaborative with my crew. Like if I told my gaffer, put the light here, do this, do that, you know, then it would be so boring for them. Yeah. And I mean, I do have to credit, like we have amazing handheld operators. So it's, you know, Nick Musco and Will Dearborn. And to watch Nick. These two, Nick and watch these two. I mean, they're the cutest. Like in terms of
their Instagram is hilarious to follow.
Yeah, they do ballets. Like we were doing things because it was continuous, right? Like, and we're shooting 2 cameras all the time. So how do you not see the other camera? It would be like either Nick or Will. He'd be like, okay, I'm going to hide behind this plant. Okay. And then when you turn around, then I'm going to come out, and then I'm going to get the over. Or I'll just hide behind this wall here, crouch down. Like literally they would like crouch down. I mean, they were like ninjas. You know, they would come down and they would come back up. Or they would like run around a house. You know,
I would watch footage of that.
It was, I mean, you should watch the arrest scene with when they arrested Rodolfo. I mean, we had 3 cameras and our other operator, Dan.
Oh yeah, that was on the front lawn, and they were like crossing paths and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Nick was like, he literally leaked. I mean, and we're using cameras. These cameras are 45 heavy pounds. Jeez. You know, and they're all leaping, or you know, or like hiding gazelles behind a bush. Yeah. It's. And there was one time where actually one of them got sick. Nick got sick one day, not COVID. I think it was more of a food thing. And I had to operate. It was actually during one of the prom scenes in Bette's house. And I had to operate like one shot. And I put it on and I do pride myself in my handheld. I am a very good handheld operator, but you know, when you don't do it for months because you have good operators, I put that thing on my shoulder and I'm like, shit, like this is what you carry every day? I'm so sorry. I was like, I can't do this. But that day actually we were able to bump up Colleen, our second AC, and she was and now she is given up being a camera assistant and is now doing full-time operating. I mean, so that's like the whole thing.
That's great.
Like, you know, we are like opportunity, you know, if, you know, Marja gave me, you know, because, you know, being a woman cinematographer is tough. It's still tough. It will be tough. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she believed in both Moira and I, and, you know, we got to pay it forward too.
Oh yeah. There seems to be like a lot of situations like that, you know, even reading like the story about Leo Sheng being cast in the show, and you know, Marja's been nothing but great with, like, she gave me her time to speak to her and stuff. Like, I've never seen another showrunner do something like that. And yeah, it like Leo's whole thing, all the interviews that I've read with him, of saying like he was literally in grad school and then all of a sudden he's you know, in Hollywood on a set. So it's definitely you know, one of those like stories from the 50s, like being discovered or something.
Yeah, for sure. It really was. It really is. And he's so great too. He's just, and you've seen him grow and get, you know, get better at his craft. It's really exciting to see.
Yeah. And you always hear from the cast too, how good of an experience it is when they're working on a set where a lot of the crew is female. They always comment about how, you know, such a different feel it is, and, you know, how good it is going to work, and just, you know, kind of like almost a breath of fresh air.
I mean, I do have to say, I mean, you know, I think, you know, sometimes it's hard to do an all-female set, but when you have women in charge, it really does make a difference. It really, I mean, you know, not to, you know, diss the guys or anything, but there is like there's a warmth, there's a friendliness, you know, like one of the things, we had another crew member that hurt his back, and he was out for a couple of months, and then he came back, and I went up to him and I said, you know, it's so great to see you back. And he was like, I'm so glad to be back. I'm so glad that you had me back. And I'm like, what are you talking? Excuse me? Like, why wouldn't we have you back? And he was like, on other shows, you know, if I left for 2 months, they would have replaced me like this. But you guys, you held your job for me. And I'm like, yes, we're a family here. You know, like, it's not like you left, you know, you were hurt, you were injured. So of course your job is going to be, when you're ready to come back, you come back. Right. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, you know, yeah, there's nice guys out there, but I don't know, when you have women in charge, they understand this, you know, they understand, you know, the family nature of things. So it is very true.
Oh no, I was just going to say, and do you have any favorite moments or memories from the season 2?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Favorite, wow.
Or like a memory that stayed with you, or something that happened, or
I have to
favorite
say.
Day.
So, I had many. Prom was like, to create the prom. Okay, my favorite was actually creating the prom that was not at the prom. With
the fountain and the dancing.
No, that was Moira. I was very envious of Moira, but just the prom in the hallway at the end of episode 9.
Oh yeah.
You know, that was absolutely, like, we had so much fun doing that.
The bubbles.
Yeah, the balloons that like I brought those in, you know, and that was amazing, because so I wanted, because, you know, a lot of the prom was supposed to be spilling out of the doors, right? But we were going to see down this long hallway, and like, how do you make the hallway still feel magical, but
intimate.
then also, yeah, but also not like, oh, look, a movie crew just put a bunch of movie lights down there, and you know. And so I was like, what do we do? And so I was talking to our production designer, actually. So I credit her. So our production designer, Valerie Green, who's amazing. I was like, Valerie, can you like give me something in the background that could motivate light? And she was like, honestly, Sandra, I don't know, but you know, did you ever consider like those LED balloons? And I'm like, huh. And so I looked it up, and on Amazon for $16, those balloons in the L word you can get on Amazon for $16. And what's crazy is, so I just bought these randomly. I didn't even think about colors or anything. And I gave them to the art department, and it just happened to be the same color scheme as.
That's crazy.
So it was all kind of serendipitous. So that was really great. So that was, that was like one of my favorites. And the writer, Ali Romano, she always, one of the things that she loves are proms. And so I was hopefully able to make her dreams come true. So I was really excited about that. But I think I think one of the most memorable moments, which is all still from that same episode, even though I had so many, was that Finley scene in Danny's apartment. Jack just gave such
It was so good.
an incredible performance. And when we did that, it was maybe 12 a.m.
Oh, God.
After a long day of, like, that entire scene, like that scene, and then the scene after when Sophie comes to pick her up, like that was like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And like everybody was just exhausted, but Jack, she just brought it. And that one shot we did just on her, I mean, I wasn't even shooting it, I was just watching it, and it got me in the gut when I was watching it on the monitors. So that was another memorable moment. Wow, there's so many. The arrest scene, that was a lot of fun, to do. There was a lot of moving pieces, and I don't know, I have to think about, because there was some really good ones.
The karaoke episode.
Oh,
How
yes.
was that?
that was so much fun. I mean, one of the things, so that was, everybody was telling me, good luck, Sandra. You're gonna be in Dana's bar the entire episode. And last season, I'll be honest with you, last season I hated Dana's bar. It was very hard to shoot. It trying to make people look good and without overlighting. And I feel like the way we approached Dana's bar was way overlit. This is me talking about my work. It was very overlit. And we made a lot of changes in Dana's bar this season with the help of the production designer. We added skylights, and we the windows weren't so opaque, and we added areas of light with my gaffer. So now we can make it a lot moodier. And so doing the karaoke was just so much fun, because we were able to pick colors and light. And that was the other thing. Like, one of the things with Dana's bar went in the original season 1 was our original production designer, who's brilliant, a legend, but she was like, no color in Dana's bar, no colored lights, like we have to stick to, and that was very hard because it's a bar,
Yeah.
And so when we did the karaoke episode, like we were like, let's make this a party.
All the color,
all the lights,
all the colors. And I think was that when, no, I was trying to think, because for Marja's birthday.
Oh yeah, we saw that video. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, the lighting department and the art department all got together and just like made Dana's bar crazy. So, but shooting the karaoke episode, I actually, after we shot, I don't know, 8 days or something like that in Dana's bar, and everybody's like, so do you hate it? I'm like, no, I love it. I love it. We had so much fun, doing it, and seeing the OGs up there. That was it was a lot. They were having a lot of fun too.
Well, you could definitely tell that the fun definitely leaked out into the audience, because we all felt it. I think, is that your favorite episode?
Yeah, I think that
all of them are her favorite episode.
It was your favorite episode until the next episode aired, and then that one was
That's true, yeah.
Then I was like, this one is my favorite. Marja said that one, when I asked her that question, she said that 6 was her favorite too. I said that we were all, like, us in the audience were all Jacqueline when she was in the audience watching the OGs singing, and she was so happy and like this. I was like, that's us, that's all the audience members. Like, yay, look, the OGs are all singing.
Yeah, they were. It was just so much fun to do and to play. And the one thing that we had to do this is really connect everybody to make sure that we knew where everybody was. So that was, you talked about planning, right? We actually planned that episode almost like a football game, right? Because we were like, okay, so in this scene, so this person is here. Like we drew it out with our assistant director.
Is that where you have the little pawns on the little? It's like a Cluedo map, and you like push people around on the little map that shows. I don't know. It was on someone's Instagram, and it looked like It looked like a shooting. Like it was like a floor plan with like little, not dolls, but like what do you call those little things in the games? Like
like little yeah. Yeah,
like,
I don't remember. Maybe that was Moira, but that it's something like that. But we actually used a whiteboard, and our AD Jill Macy and we would be like, okay, so in this scene, so and so the OGs are sitting here, and where is Finley? Okay, so Finley is supposedly in the back room. Okay, where is Sophie? Okay, so Sophie should be here because we wanted to make sure that all this so that we were consistent. And then sometimes we're like, well, where's Tess? I don't know where Tess is. Okay, Tess is in the bathroom, but we really planned it out so we knew where everybody was, because if we didn't do that, then we feel like the audience may get lost in terms of like, where are we looking, and why are we here, or and Marja.
You could easily lose someone.
Yeah, we wanted that kind of connective tissue of whether we're following somebody into this room or taking somebody out or something like that. So that we really planned it like we were, like a foot. You should have seen it. It just looked like what they do in football with
those, what do they call them, Jess? You're into football.
Oh, gosh.
play by play or whatever.
Yeah. What is that? Yeah.
Playbook.
Yeah, because I like with big episodes like that where they're predominantly all in one place as well, I feel as though when you're an audience member, obviously, sometimes if people haven't thought it through the way you guys did, then it becomes extremely obvious, because there'll be like continuation issues where you'll be like, oh, they're supposed to, I don't know, Finley and Tess are supposed to be in the back talking, but they're behind Danny and Gigi, and it doesn't make so. Yeah, like you can definitely tell like a lot of thought went into that episode and like where everyone is, because it's so easy to make like some little mistake like that where there's so many shows I can think of where, say, Danny and Gigi are walking out and it's like we've just seen Micah kissing someone in the alley, but then we see no one's in the alley when they walk past it. Like it's little things like that there wasn't. And again, like, the three of us watch it like with a magnifying glass.
But I mean, we honestly, I mean, at times we do think about the fans, right? We do think about, this particular scene or that episode, people are going to watch over and over and over again. So we need to get it right. We can't be cutting corners because people are going to know. People are going to, and we make mistakes
people being
all the
Ash.
time.
Ash will pick it up.
We make mistakes and we miss things, but we really do think about, this is a show, we know that this show is going to be watched, and particularly the karaoke episode. I kept telling Patrol, the director, I was like, people are going to watch this over and over again because it's fun. They're going to be taking YouTube clips, right? And you're just going to be like, Jennifer Beals karaoke, and that's the first thing that's going to come up, and so we have to get it right. So we're always thinking about the fans.
Do you ever think about putting any Easter eggs in, or are there any Easter eggs in the background?
Have there been?
And if not, will you put in? Yeah, will you put some in now?
Has Marja? I know she has, and I can't think of any. There's like little things, but now I can't think of anything. Watch, as soon as we hang up, I'm going to be like, oh, that.
That is one of the great things about this show that you just can't get, in a lot of other iterations, is that the show, if somebody tuned in from season 1, episode 1 of Gen Q, you can watch it as a standalone, and there's not so much, references and Easter eggs and things going on that you would be really confused. But I think that they, like Marja and the writers, really straddle that line of there's still a lot for us original fans, because even like there's moments this season where when Bette and Pippa are talking and she's like, Bette mentions about calling Peggy and things, and if somebody hadn't seen the original, they just think, oh, it's some person off screen that they mention. But like, obviously we know there's a whole character and everything from the original show, and it's just so nice when and there was a lot more in season 2, I feel, that were like, I don't know, it's always like just a fun little like wink at the OG audience, and you feel really like, oh, they see me, like they know that we're gonna get it, and it's just really nice. But I actually have started to find there's some people in the world that you'd think this wouldn't be the case, but that there's younger people who, someone came in my comments on a Gen Q video and they were like, so they were talking about the scene in an episode that had happened, but it hadn't happened. So I went looking, and do you know there's a whole other show called The L Word? That
yeah, I had that in our Facebook as well. People, young like, people. Well, yeah. I sat there going, oh my God, I'm so old.
But you're so right. Like, again, I mean, I'm going to bring back my mom, but my mom didn't watch the original, but she got caught up into it, and even though she may not, when Alice is on the stage, reading that chapter out of her book about Dana, I mean, it'll still get the new, even though they don't know the real story behind it. I mean, it'll get you in a different way than somebody that is just watching the Gen Q for the first time. But I mean, like you said, like there is they really do a really good, thing to kind of toe the line between the legacy show and Gen Q. So I have to hand it to them. It's a tough job, because there's a lot of people to please, and
you're never gonna please all those people, and there's always gonna be people that literally, before they've even seen it, they have their opinion and things like that. But I mean, it's like anything, isn't it? Like whatever you put out into the world, your work, or if you immediately have my respect if you are putting something out into the world like this with your own face, your own name on it, and it's reached by so many people are seeing this. And yes, you have the few naysayers and people that are gonna attack over like little silly things, but for all the positivity that it does, like it's just they do an absolutely brilliant job, and I just need them to renew it really soon for season 3.
Moral of the story.
Yeah, moral of the story, more L Word, please.
I think we'll get at least another 5 seasons. No, I don't know. 3 seasons. I don't know. I mean, we got 6 of the original, so I'm assuming we're going to get at least minimum of 6 of this one.
I would think they'd stop at 5, so they don't repeat the season 6 of the original.
I mean, everybody's really confident, so I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Because it's been like a month since the finale. So
very important question though. Is there a blooper reel, and will there be one?
There should be. I mean, we have.
Do you keep the bloopers, or do you record over them?
No. Well, no, we keep everything. Like if it's recorded, it's recorded. We don't delete anything. I mean, I don't know what they do archivally. But
Sweet,
yeah,
so they're out there.
so they're out there, I think. I mean, whenever we have a bad take, we cut and, people laugh, and particularly Leisha, and, we just,
I was going to ask who's the most prone to blooper.
I think Leisha. Yeah. I want to say Leisha. Yeah.
I can imagine. She'd be a big goofball.
Oh, she is. I mean, actually, I take that back. Donald.
Oh,
Tom.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So he was funny, because whenever he would mess up, I remember there was this one time we were in Alice's office, and it was like this long scene, again, continuous, and they have this like back and forth. They're really good at it. And I think he messed up a line, and then, we have all these extras, and he was like, "Yep, who was the one who messed up their line? This guy," like that type of stuff. Like, he was really. So I think he actually beat Leisha this season, Donald.
Yeah,
did.
I mean, he has the long history of being on Scrubs for who knows how many years. So
it was so much fun to see them together.
Their banter was really, I liked it. We enjoyed their banter.
Yeah, I mean, and it was like that just on and off set too. They just had that. I mean, Donald comes in and just wins over everybody.
He just seemed like he was playing himself.
Yeah, For sure. Yeah, it was great to have him this season, and Rosie was fantastic. I only got the opportunity to work with Rosie on just a couple of scenes this season. Moira got to work with her even more, and the more like meatier stuff, like the stuff in episode 7 that really kind of broke my heart. But
same, I bawled my eyes out.
I know. And she really brought it too. I do have to say. I'll admit to you guys, I was on team Rosie. I was on team Carrie.
Oh yeah, me too.
Oh yeah,
I'm on team Carrie.
Yeah.
A parts of me, as I was watching it, I'm like, I am Carrie. Like, that's me. I'm like, why doesn't anybody love me?
I know. Like you just totally connect with Carrie more so, and you're like, yeah, Bette is me. What's wrong with her?
Bette was a bitch this season. I'm not a fan of Bette. But it's so interesting to see, like, from the OG, there's those hardcore Bette and Tina shippers, and they can't seem to leave it go for Gen Q, which seems to be, a whole new start. I mean, there's still, Bette and Tina-ish, storylines, but it's just interesting to see that they can't look at Carrie objectively in that sense, because they're so focused on Bette and Tina. So they automatically, no matter who played Carrie, they would hate her. But I'm like, she brought it. She was like, Rosie was just, I hope she wins some kind of award, but like,
I know.
Emmy guest star, yeah.
Yeah.
Our first AD, Joe Macy, hardcore Bettina, hard. She is one of those. So when I told, I can't remember if I did tell her I was Team Carrie. I don't know. Maybe I didn't.
She knows now.
Yeah, she knows now. But she is one of those. Again, we're all fans. We're not just people who work on the show. It's like everybody has an opinion about.
That's awesome. Probably also exhausting at some points, but awesome.
We all have an opinion. We, Team Carrie, Bette. We're with Bette and Tina. Like it's really great. Like how involved the entire crew goes. Because I've worked on other sets where people just don't give a shit. Like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to do my job, and then I'm going to go home. And this one, I remember Lauren Peel, our first AC. I can't remember what episode. But she came up to me and she's like, Sandra, have you just read this episode? There is so much sex at the beginning. There is so much.
Oh, I remember that episode. I remember thinking that too. I was like, there's so much.
I think it was at the start of episode 7, where it was like, it was like Finley and Sophie.
Yeah.
And she's like, every episode, they're just fucking the first 10 pages. Did you read it?
that would go for 10 pages, though. It would be like just describing the scene.
And I'm like, no, I haven't read it yet, but no, I think I did at that point.
You're like, how am I gonna? You're like, how am I gonna like this?
Yeah. Well, no, actually, I was like, oh, that's Moira's episode. So
That's her problem.
You're like, well, that's Moira's problem.
But I mean, I do have to say, like, one of the, the working on the L Word has really, I mean, I've done a lot of different sex scenes, before the L Word, but really working on the L Word has really taught me how to do sex scenes. Truly, I think it's, and I've carried it on to, some of the other shows, because I think we really truly, I think, handle the intimacy in a beautiful way, as opposed to, the kind of gratuitous way, like,
coming from a voyeur point of view.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really proud of it, even though I'll be honest with you, I'm scared to death when we have to do those scenes. They take a long time to do.
Yeah, the intimacy coordinator, is it Catherine? Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah, she honestly, like, it's just a complete other caliber compared to other shows, and it's so well done that honestly, like, I constantly, like, people are always saying to, like, comments, whatever, they're like, oh, the intimacy coordinator on the L Word is just, like, amazing. But I know that people have this other idea of the way sex scenes are in, like, on sets. Like, you read all these things where people, like, really think that things go on that they don't, and I wish that people knew, like, what you're describing, like, what a production it is, and just how
technical,
like, yeah, exactly, it is. Because people think that, like, it's basically just like, oh, there's a sex scene and do whatever you want, but, like, every scene, how, like, coordinated.
The scene with Tess and Shane in Las Vegas, they actually rehearsed. They told us they actually rehearsed it together. And actually came up with the choreography between, Jamie and Kate, and they told us exactly what they were doing. That they're going to do this. They're going to, the pants are going to come down, and then I'm going to come here, and I'm going to kiss here, and I'm going to do here, and I'm going to go here. And that doesn't happen with every sex scene. Sometimes, actors are very different in terms of, but regardless of whether they do it ahead of time or whether we find it on the day, it becomes very technical. And I mean, I have to hand it to them. I mean, like, you have to also remember, they're thinking, because we have to do it all the same way, in the, the same time. Like, okay, so then I go to the cheek, and then I go to the neck, and
I would not remember that.
and so how we do it is, I guess, depending on the sex scene, we'll shoot it different ways a couple of times, and then we'll do a macro pass, and that is really technical, because my operators will talk to them, and they will tell them exactly what they're going to do, because it's so close and tight. And then, maybe, a hand graces the cheek, and maybe he misses it. So he'll tell them, can you go back and do that again, please? And they'll do it. Or can you go back and kiss her breast, please? Like I mean, it's very technical. But
and, like, how close are they with the macro lens? Like, how close are they?
They're in
your face. Yeah.
In the face. They're, like, right there.
Wow.
And that's why what we found is, it needs to be a collaboration between us and the operators and the actors. We need to, it's a conversation, because it can't be like, oh, guys, just do it better, like, oh no, it's sexier, it's not like that.
Sexier.
It's very much like, so I'm going to go here. Is that okay? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, let's do that. Or I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to do this. I mean, and it takes a lot. It takes like for a sex scene. I'm trying to think. Like I think the Bette and Gigi scene. So I remember what our
That's one of
day
Ash's
was.
favorites.
So we did a day of just intimacy. So the first half of the day, which is roughly 6 hours, was just that scene with Bette and Gigi, and then the second half of the day was the scene with Danny and Sophie in episode 1. So so it's 6 hours for all of these scenes that last like what 1-2 minutes on the screen. I mean, because there is there's also like makeup touches. They're gonna they do full body makeup. And they're going to have to touch that. Then they have to touch the lips if they kiss. And so there's a lot of, and then we have, people watching out, the intimacy coordinator, but then we also have, like the makeup people watching as well and making sure that, and I'm watching too, because we don't, one of the things, you don't want to get this. So they have to like make sure they're doing like stuff like this or arching their back in a way, so it's like they have to think about all of this stuff. Plus be sexy and make it feel hot, like it's crazy. I don't know how to do it.
Excellent work on that episode, that scene though. Excellent work. One of
my favorites.
the
kitchen scene.
The Bette and Gigi. I mean,
yeah.
I have to say, like, Bette, like Jennifer, she looks amazing.
She looks great.
Flawless.
Flawless.
Oh yeah, they're both my favorite characters. So that was like a dream come true. When they were
and Gigi, and the funny thing is, so Gigi brings it, like
we can see it.
She brings it, and what's interesting, if you watch any of the show, like all of her stuff, like you don't see any nudity from Gigi, but the way, you what she does and how she's in it, she might as well be naked. But she does not do nudity.
She smolders.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good word. Yes, smolders. She could be fully clothed in all her sex scenes, and it would just melt the screen.
It does. Like now when I think about it, because it just occurred to me, like she does. She never takes her. She does bra and things like that, but she never takes her clothes off. But but thinking about it, I'm like, she doesn't? Wow. I mean, and I was there. Yeah. She just gets in, like, it's really fantastic and fun to shoot intimacy scenes with Seppi, because she's just so good at it. So, really, I mean, again, like, guys, how do they do that? And then they have to like remember lines too. And
oh, I know, right? I can never do it. Do you have a favorite couple on the show? Like, is it someone you were like rooting for like the whole time?
Sophie and Finley.
Interesting.
Jess. I'm a big Finley fan. Finley is my favorite.
Oh, me too. Finley's my favorite.
Finley is my favorite, and I think it also has to do with. I mean, Jack is just wonderful. Like, Jack is also wonderful to work with. I mean, they're all wonderful. I mean, some have their nuances and everything. But Jack is, like, genuinely, like, just so easy to work with, so easy to talk to. She's just a delight. Like, whenever I see her on the call sheet, I'm like, yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
So that's fun. So, yeah, but I'm rooting for Sophie and Finley.
Yeah, interesting.
That's where I stand.
There's like so many now, because I know Marja was saying, like, obviously with COVID, like there was a lot of things that they couldn't do, like they couldn't bring in tons of guest stars, so they did kind of mix everybody up a little bit together. And the one of like the absolute biggest couples of the season, and I think is unanimously popular, is Danny and Gigi. And it's like crazy to think that even in the beginning, like there was Bette and Gigi for the first couple of episodes, and then now Gigi and Danny. But oh my gosh, like the reaction to them, it's been crazy. Like they are, and again, like we're in this little unique position that we see a lot of fans, and I mean, like if I put anything Danny and Gigi up, it gets hundreds of thousands of views, like way more than anything else. And I mean, people on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, everything, like it's all about Danny and Gigi.
Yeah, I remember, I think, because I was posting frames from the episodes that I shot, and I remember like the Danny and Gigi ones always bring the most likes. And I mean, I think they make a fantastic couple, but I didn't anticipate what do they call it? What do they call there's a term for Danny and Gigi, like
Genie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I just didn't anticipate it, that was going to be a thing. I mean, but
interesting that you guys didn't know that it was going to take off as it did.
That was me personally. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe
everyone else is rubbing their hands like, oh.
No, I feel like that pairing energized the show a bit.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times it's you kind of know it has to happen because it's television, and whoever was together as a couple at the beginning of the series, you always know they're going to, break up. There's going to be some sort of turmoil or something. But, a lot of people respond really negatively to that, like maybe they're huge Sophie and Danny fans and, they kind of pull back or something when a couple that they're really into breaks up.
We hear about that.
We hear about that. Here comes this pairing who had both previously been with other characters on the show. I think it just brought this little shot of energy of people like, I never considered that.
I think a lot of us were like, whoa.
Yeah, I think Marja, Marja obviously had I never actually talked to her about this, but I'm only assuming that, she was hoping for it, because I remember at the end of episode 6, where they go and have ice cream together. I attribute to the director Cottrell, for such a simple thing, but we end up doing this move around them, and then we end on her face
that was a great shot
on Danny's face. But that tonally in the tone meeting and what the notes that Cottrell got, I think was that to make the audience go, but it's so simple. It doesn't, it's such a simple thing. It doesn't end with this big crane shot or anything. It's just on Danny's face. And I think maybe, that again, that visual language, we're starting to build that, like you were talking about, that energy, So, I think it was all intentional, and this is why we have those meetings with Marja, to kind of get inside her head,
Marja's evil plan.
Yeah, for sure.
Evil genius plan.
Yeah, she's whoa.
I know. But I don't know what happens. I'm not sure what's going to,
Marja did talk about in her interview with Leisha and Kate that there was in the finale, there was a couple of scenes at the end that were cut. And as someone that you watch the show and stuff, is there ever things that are cut that you remember happening and you're like, oh, this kind of changes? Or is it something where you've noticed there's a lot left on the cutting room floor, or is it just every so often?
Let me think. So I know there was some cuts in the first 3 episodes. I mean, actually, I the funny thing is, so the arrest scene ended up in episode 4.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was really sad about that because, episode 4 is Moira's episode, but I shot that because it was originally supposed to be at the end of episode 3, the arrest scene. And so I was like, man, you know.
Oh yeah, it kind of almost was, because we saw the flashing lights
The
at the end.
lights,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it was supposed to actually continue. Episode 3 was going to continue, and then it was going to end with, you know, Rodolfo being arrested. And then that would take us into episode 4. I can't remember exactly the reason. I think sometimes there's, you know, I mean, I can't necessarily remember. There is a lot of things that do end up on the cutting room floor because of time. You know, we have a specific window of time that we have.
Yeah.
And I remember that, you know, Marja, as she was editing 1, 2, and 3, she was running into timing issues, you know, that things were just running too long. But I can't remember. I honestly can't remember anything right now. It's been, you know.
Yeah.
But like Marja didn't release the director's cut. That goes for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, there's, you know, and then of course we get script changes all the time, you know, where, you know, they may get notes from the network or even notes from, you know, because the all the actors do get a chance to, you know, talk to, I guess it's Marja or maybe the writers or something, in terms of where, you know, their character is and things like that. And we're also making changes on the day too. Like, oh, do I have to say this? Can I say that? You know, so, I mean, it's only to make the scripts better usually. But we're constantly getting, every time you get a new script, it's a new color, you know, so this is the blue script and this is the green script. And so we're constantly getting changes. A lot of them are dialogue changes. We get a lot of dialogue changes, but sometimes there's like whole scene changes or, you know, but yeah. And then sometimes I don't know if we had to reshoot anything this season. I know we did, because there was a little bit of a costume snafu, you know, and we had to redo because we shot a scene and we realized the characters were in the wrong costumes. So,
oh no.
Yeah, because there's a lot of changes, you know, and, you know, these ladies, there's a lot of clothes, you know.
Yeah.
We have amazing, I mean, look at Bette's wardrobe alone, you know.
Yeah. Jeez.
And so, there was a little bit of a snafu there, so we had to redo it.
So when did you have to film like the rebit? Was it while you were still filming that you realized, or was it?
Yeah, so it was actually what happened was I think we filmed the scene that happened before or after it, like on another day, and then we realized, oh, wait a second, they were in the wrong clothes, and so we had to go back and build it into the schedule. My light just turned off. I'm so sorry. Hold on. So I mean, they just build it in. You know, they're tough schedules. You know, they sometimes we do what's called a double up, where both Moira and I are shooting at the same time. Yeah, so we have like two separate units happening. And on our stages, luckily we have like two buildings, 2.5 buildings. And so we can, you know, she can shoot on stage A and I can shoot on stage B. Like, we can never shoot on the same stage, but we can shoot in different places at the same time. So it can be a lot. And sharing actors and things like that. It's like a scheduling nightmare.
Yeah, that because people say like a lot, you know, obviously a lot of the people that want Bette and Tina back together, they constantly try and solve the issue of Laura Holloman's availability, and people always say, oh well, if she's only available for a month, you can just shoot all her stuff in a month. And I'm like, oh yeah, that could really they need an entire budget and an entire set of people to do like an entire TV show just to do that, of all the people that would require, because I don't think sometimes people think of the, you know, how much scheduling and everything that goes into it. I guess it's like the intimacy thing, like people just think of it on the surface level of, you know, what they're seeing. Yeah,
I mean, because we don't shoot in order. You know, like,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, and we went to the block shooting model where we shoot, you know, 2 or 3 episodes at a time. And so it helps because, you know, if we're shooting at a location, in one location that, you know, cost a bit of money, you know, maybe not the stage work, but maybe the location, we can actually shoot like, okay, we're going to shoot a scene from episode 1, the scene that's going to happen in episode 2, and the scene that happens from episode 3, all in this, at this one time, at this one location. And it's great for you know, just logistic purposes, because then we don't have to go back, they don't have to pay for it, we don't have to load in, load out, all of that. But it is hard for all of us, even the actors, because they're like, okay, now they're in episode 1, okay, but now they're in episode 2, so they're feeling something different. Oh, but now they're in episode 3, and their relationship has progressed in this way. And, you know, and I have to do the same in terms of, you know, the look or the lighting, if there's any sort of trajectory change, you know, so it's hard, but, you know, that's why we can't, you know, because like, again, sometimes we'll shoot like 2 or 3 different scenes from different episodes in one day. And have to.
It just must be crazy with like, not only like wardrobe change, but like makeup, hair, like all that stuff. Like it sounds crazy.
Yeah. And you know, and they you know, and it takes a bit to get all these ladies ready to go. It's not, I mean, they're beautiful just without anything, but you know, they have hair, they have makeup, they have wardrobe, and it you know, I think people don't realize, like, it's not glamorous at all to shoot these things. It's actually, you know, people are like, wow, you do a lot of sitting around, you know, or like a lot of waiting. But you know, there again, like, we do, you know, this episodes are an hour long, and it takes us 10 days and sometimes even more to shoot it, 10 12-hour days to shoot an hour's worth of, you know, footage. I mean, if you think about it, like, oh gosh, that, you know, you do many takes of over and over again, and it's not glamorous at all. It gets boring. You know, it's never boring for me, but like to an observer, it gets kind of boring after a while. You're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm going to go to craft service. You know,
craft service.
Craft service.
Yeah, that's definitely the best thing about any film set I've ever been on. Craft service.
I wish my house had craft services.
And now in COVID, so you have to get everything prepackaged, and so you'll go to a truck and you'll order. There'd be a menu, and we had really great craft service on the L Word. And you know, you'll order, and you're like, I'd like the fruit cup and the veggie cup and Diet Coke, please. And you know, and they make coffees, lattes. You know, every day, every Friday was like tea cake Friday. Like,
because one of the MVPs of your crew for us was Lauren Peel that you mentioned before. She posted a lot of stuff on social media, and we loved it. And there was a couple of days she posted the menu of like the whiteboard and the food trucks and the flowers, and so cool.
Oh yeah, the ice cream truck that came.
Yeah. I mean, that is like a one thing that happens, which is really cool. Like, as a gift to the crew, either the directors or Marja or Showtime or the actors will get a food truck for the crew. So that's a lot of fun to do, and you know, we get to try a bunch of treats. Like we did, like myself and the director and the AD, we did like a dumpling truck, you know.
Yum.
And Marja and I did the flower truck, you know. So that was
flower and
flowers.
Cool.
It's just a nice, you know, way to. I mean, we eat all the time. I do have to say, you know, we're constantly eating on set, which is really good. I mean, because we it's hard, but I say that we're constantly eating, but it's actually hard now to eat on set because we wear masks. And you can't like just take off your mask and start eating. Like you have to go to a designated spot. And like for somebody like myself or Lauren, we don't get a chance to go to the bathroom a lot because we have to be there all the time. And so because our camera, this all happens to the whole camera department. When there's treats, it'll just collect. Like I know Lauren's food collects on her cart, and then she'll either enjoy it at lunch or take it home. And the same goes for me. Like I have a cart too, and they'll just bring me food, and I'll just bring home all of this food because we just don't have time. I mean, it's one of the, again, part of the job that nobody tells you about. Like you don't have time to go to the bathroom. Again, not glamorous at all, everybody. You're
like, everybody hold on, stop the sex scene, I just have to go pee.
yeah And then you're out in the elements, like you have to you shoot night exteriors at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. It isn't for, again, not glamorous. It's not for
everyone.
Not for everyone. It's not all that you see in the movies.
Well, we do appreciate you doing the job because we greatly enjoyed this season. We enjoyed the end result very much.
I'm very happy. I'm very like just hearing all of you guys and how you saw this season. It's exactly, I think, what we envisioned, what Marja envisioned. I mean, we're really proud of. We're proud of season 1, but we're really, really proud of season 2. And we just hope we can carry it on further for season 3.
Oh, we have everything crossed for season 3, and I hope we hear something soon. I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's what's going to happen, because
Ash and I will be announcing it as soon as we hear.
We can't wait.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Oh wow, we moved the world a little bit. We put it out in the world.
Right.
We made it. I'm just gonna say, like, I'll tell Marja, well, it was Ash, Jess, and Chris who made it all happen.
Yeah.
She already knows who we are, so that's fine.
I was there. But you should definitely get Lauren Peel here.
Okay, I'll message her. I'll be like, I'll get her on.
She's just a great and so much fun, and she'll tell you stories. We love
stories.
I have tunnel vision. I honestly have tunnel vision in terms of like my work and what I do. Like, I don't know if Lauren will tell you all the gossip, but there is a lot of gossip on set, and I am like literally the last person to know. Like, I'll find out like at the wrap party, like, oh, that happened.
That's how I am.
You do have a very important job to do, so there's that.
I missed all the juicy stuff.
Maybe season 3 now, you'll be like, oh
yeah.
Oh, what's happening?
Keep detailed notes for us in season 3.
Yeah. We'll expect a notebook at the end.
Blooper here. This happened.
Yes, blooper. Yes. Talk to the people in that have the bloopers and get them out.
Bloopers and cuts. I said to Showtime, I will take this project on for you if you give me them.
Like, or the directors, or the longer cuts, or because it goes through different revisions.
The old word extended edition.
Extended cut. Yeah,
that's
like
what I want.
The one that goes for 12 hours.
Episode 1, 2 hours long. I wish there was where the director's commentary, would really give us the dirt on what happens. But I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Right.
This is the scene where
they're like, this is the scene, but like, wait a minute, I can't tell you about what happened there. I have a non-disclosure.
This is the scene when so and so just started shouting. Like. I don't want to start any rumors about anything.
Yeah, definitely keep detailed notes for us for season 3, Sandra.
I will.
You know, talk us up to the rest of them so they'll want to come on our podcast.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
God,
appreciate the
talking
time
to
you
us.
took to.
so much. It's been, oh my God. So like, this is honestly just like such a, like, it's like a dream talking to someone who works on the show. So thank you so much. We really, really, really appreciate it, and your time,
Sure.
and working on the show too, and making season 2 so great, because we absolutely adored it. And
Oh, great. Well, it's great to hear. Thank you guys for having me on the show. Yeah,
Absolutely.
can't wait to see what you put together.
And I feel like we'll all be watching season 3 a little bit differently now, analyzing
Yes.
a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
and if you need any notes, for season 3, you know, you can call us anytime.
Yeah.
You'll be watching the intimacy scenes in a totally different light.
Look at that choreography.
Look at that. I wonder how many times they had to do that. Look at that macro shot.
yeah, I'll be looking for the macro shots.
But thanks, guys, again so much.
Thank you, and have a great rest of your weekend and everything.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
So that was our interview with Sandra Valde-Hansen, who is the cinematographer of The L Word. It's Thursday at 4:30, which is 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time and 8:30 a.m. Pacific Time. So I'm planning on posting this literally straight away. So I just wanted to jump on and say, from Miss G and I, thank you so much for this whole season of Drinks at Dana's. Chris, Jess, and I feel okay speaking on behalf of them, have had the absolute best time doing this podcast. You know, we didn't really know each other that well before we started this. Like, I literally met Jess and Chris because of doing LCon, which wasn't that long ago. It was when they were filming season 2, and we just became friends. And then through doing this podcast at, you know, oh, G wants to leave, at 6 a.m. or whatever time we were recording, that it was so fun. I loved doing it. I loved hearing you guys and your comments and everything like that. And I also think that, you know, we had an interesting balance because we all have such different views. You know, Jess and Chris, like, their favorite characters are Shane and Carmen and Finley and stuff, and so different from me, who's more Bette and Tina and people like that. And of course, we all have common ground. We all love Danny and Gigi. So again, a thank you so much to Sandra, who was just so awesome. We had the best time making this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. But again, I've had the best time doing this podcast, and the show has to return for season 3 purely because we need to make another season of Drinks at Dana's. If there's anything that you guys would like to see us review, I mean, I am trying to talk Chris and Jess into reviewing at least season 1 of Gen Q. Give me that. So maybe some comments would help them, you know, say yes. But if there's anything else that you guys would like to see, let us know. Again, if you want the latest updates and things on season 3, I'll link that in the cards above. And of course, make sure that you're subscribed here, because the second the official news for season 3 comes out, I will be doing video and doing my usual putting it out everywhere. And we have still tons of stuff that we're going to be doing on the channel over, you know, the hiatus and then into season 3, because we're going to be covering all the filming, everything. And then in December, I'm also doing the advent calendar, where I release a video every single day in December. So there's tons of stuff coming up on the channel. I'm covering loads of other shows, but you know, there's nothing like the L Word for me. It's the number one in my world and the number one in my heart. So we'll definitely be back very soon. And as I said, if there's anything else you'd like to see us cover, let us know. And just a huge thank you to everyone who has watched and listened to the episodes of the podcast, and to the people that listen to every single episode. Like, you're the whole reason that we do this podcast, because otherwise it's just three lunatics talking to each other at, you know, the weirdest times in the world. So thank you so much to everyone, and we will of course be back in the not too distant future. So as always, make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.